Hi, welcome to Talbot Workshops. I'm Ed Farley, your host. My friends know me as Captain Ed Farley for my work in restoring and sailing historic skipjacks here on the Eastern Shore. Over the next several weeks, we're going to visit and learn why the creative talents of some of the master craftsmen of Talbot County are recognized throughout the states. These men and women are a significant part of why Talbot County is known as fertile ground for innovative businesses. We hope that you can join us each week to not only meet these people, but to see what they do and how they do it. So come with me into the workshop of McMartin Beggins here in the historic mill of St. Michael's, Maryland. We'll see firsthand the product of the innovative ideas and the refined skills of Jim McMartin and Jim Beggins, makers and restorers of fine furniture. Hey Jim, finally caught you working at the design table.
Well, that's true, Ed. Occasionally somebody has to be up here to get something done.
You're not going to give away any trade secrets, are you?
No way, no way. We guard them with our life.
Well, I'll tell you, it's your designs are beautiful. What are you working on right now?
Well, thanks. This is a linen press that we're building for a customer.
So what's a linen press?
This is a federal period piece, and everything we do is in the federal period, which is basically the date of the federal period is about 1790 through 1830, and we concentrate on that particular period because it's very classic. It's a very timeless kind of design that will withstand the ages. And in this particular case, as I said, it's a linen press, and a linen press is a piece that's designed to hold clothing. Back in the federal period, they didn't have closets, so storage pieces were very important, and people put all of their belongings in various types of storage pieces. This was designed to hold linens and clothing. In this case, the customer needs it as a TV cabinet.
A television and a federal-style linen press?
Absolutely, but we're not modifying the form and the construction just because it's used to house a television set. In this case, we're building it totally authentically in the federal period manner, and it just so happens to be used as a television cabinet.
I would imagine this piece will be somewhat expensive when it's finished. Why would they come to you for a television cabinet when they could buy something pre-made?
Well, this is a heirloom quality piece that they're purchasing, and it will go up in value over time. It's a properly made, bench-made is the term, bench-made piece of furniture that will go up in value because the quality is just inherent in the design and the way we build the piece. Let's go out in the showroom, and I'll show you some other pieces. Jim's out there, and he can explain better about some of these details.
Okay,
let's take a look.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, Captain Ed. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Jim and I were just talking about what goes into federal period furniture, and I'd like you to explain, if you could, what goes into a federal period piece.
Well, a federal period piece has got these clean, classic lines, and what the focus in a federal piece is this beautiful banding and inlay. And here we've got some nice satinwood veneers with local Talbot County catalpa, which came from Ratcliffe Manor. And the real focal point on a cylinder desk like this is the highly figured crotch walnut, which I can take you downstairs into the woodshed and show you how we make these selections.
Let's go down and take a look.
In this room, Ed, we have thousands of board feet of cut and dried lumber, and against this wall is our veneer library. And what we have here is this is a highly figured crotch veneer, and if you look at this, this is actually the tree growing up and branching. And this beautiful grain actually keeps the tree from splitting apart on itself. And we use this to turn into the figured veneers like you saw on the cylinder desk, or like we're going to see shortly with the linen press. What I wanted to show you here, Ed, is where we have an entire tree which has been cut and stacked sequentially exactly as it was once growing. What this allows us to do is to select planks when we're building a piece of furniture. We can pick plank 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 and have matched planks, which you're not able to do when you just go to the lumber yard and buy lumber. So now let's get to work on the linen press.
Ed, you've seen the drawing of this piece from upstairs, and this is the actual piece. You see the upper case sitting atop of the lower case, and the next step for us is going to be building the drawers for this piece. But before I go any further, I'd like to introduce two people that are going to be helping on this. Tom?
Hi, Captain Ed.
Tom, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Tom is our help and one of our helpers, and he is a former dean of a medical school, a biochemistry professor, and he's a very skilled amateur woodworker. And he'll be, as I say, helping build the drawers and doing much of the finish work on this piece.
And I'm going to be teaching David how to make the dovetails.
That's exactly right. You're still a teacher.
Still a teacher.
David?
Hi, David. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
This is David Wise. He's our apprentice. He's a student at Easton High School in the 10th grade. And he's here to learn as much as he possibly can about this entire process.
Is that a 7-year apprenticeship?
At least. Well, the next thing, as I said, is to build the drawers. And for that, I think we'll go to Jim Beggins, who has that underway.
David, what I'd like to talk to you about is the drawer. This is an example of a completed drawer. This is from a chest of drawer upstairs. What we're going to do is make a drawer for the linen press. And here you can see, first thing we do is establish the shape of the drawer, which is drawn on the plan. Once that's established, we glue up a blank out of which to saw each drawer face. This is made out of 10 pieces of wood which are glued together, and then each drawer face is cut out of this blank. We have one which has been cut out already, and I'll show you how we'll cut out the next one on the bandsaw. What I did was prepare this one so you could see that the drawer has been cut out, the shape is there, and we've already put on the veneers. So you can see that out of this will come 3 drawer faces, and so that's where we're going with this one.
David, this is a drawer very similar to the one we're building for the chest. If you notice, the side of the drawer is joined to the front by these dovetails, and as you notice, these are very fine dovetails. The finer the dovetail, the more prestigious, I should say, the piece. And these fine dovetails are the mark of a craftsman and his or her signature. The dovetails in the rear of the drawer are broader, and we're actually going to work on, we're going to practice making these dovetails on the rear. Now, this portion in here, the wider portion, is the tail, the dove tail, and these are the pins. And what we're going to be doing, what we're practicing on, is we're going to be sawing for the tails on here. And when you saw, this is a small rip saw, very finely made, and what you do is approach the piece. You can see we've marked off where we're going to saw, and you approach. You come square to your work, and you approach it, making a relaxed move, a smooth move, and paying attention to stay with the line. In this case, we're staying inside the line, and we make that cut. Now, why don't you try it, we'll get this drawer done here.
All right. So what I do is I just basically cut it and just follow the line.
Just follow that line right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Sounds good.
Very good. Very good, very good. That's a first dovetail for you, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good job. David, as we said before, we made these saw cuts to establish the tails. Now what we're going to do is to cut away to reveal the tails and make room for the pins, which will be sawed from the other piece. And to do that, what we do is to take our chisel in this perspective and move it away from the line. We can't start by chopping right on that line, because if we do, the chisel, because it's sloped, will move back in. And so what we do is to hold the chisel away from the line and make a straight chop, straight down, like this, okay? And then once we've made that chop, then we come in with a smaller chisel and move the piece that we've chopped out. And we keep doing that until we get about halfway through. Then we turn the board over and come in from the other side. Is that clear?
Yeah, that's clear.
You're going to be the one that does it, okay? Okay, David, we've begun chopping out this. Why don't you take it now and work on the second one and go to town.
Okay. So I'll start about, what, about a centimeter out or less than that?
Yeah, that's good.
Right here?
Yep.
And I just give it a...
Yep.
And then come in with this thing and...
That chisel and chop it out, yeah.
A little nice little...
Just very gently, that's it.
And then,
Okay.
and then
Okay, I think we're ready to turn it over now.
alright.
Now, David, if you recall, you cut all these nice pins and tails for the dovetailing, and now we're ready to see how well you did, and we're going to try and fit them together. So I can get my mallet here, and we start tapping like this, and see how well they go down. It looks like you did a great job. Now, if you notice, this is without glue, and the mechanics of this joint is such that this will hold together even without the glue. You put the glue on here and it's sort of a guarantee, but the way these are designed, when you pull the drawer front, this drawer side will not come apart just by nature of the dovetail. Good job. Very nice.
So Jim, you showed us how we're building the drawers for this wonderful piece, and you showed us earlier the design of the inlays that will go into those drawers. And I know that you don't glue lots of little pieces together as you go, so how about showing us how you make those inlays?
Sure. Well, they're made up out of this particular inlay is called a candy stripe inlay, and it's made up out of a number of, it is individual pieces, but they're assembled in such a way that you can get a number of inlay strips from one assembly, saving a lot of labor. We start with a lamination of, in this case, pink ivory making the red wood and holly making the white wood. We laminate this together in alternating layers, and then once this is set up, then we saw strips of it on the bandsaw. Come on over to the bandsaw and I'll show you how that's done.
Okay.
Now we take these cuttings, and these cuttings are then assembled on veneers that form the outside of the inlay strip. So we're basically sandwiching the candy striping between two layers of holly veneers and gluing this assembly together. When that's done, you have an assembly that looks like this, and then we go ahead and cut a number of finished inlay pieces from this assembly, and I'll show you how to do that on the saw.
Now, couldn't you just go down to the local furniture shop and buy a piece of inlay like that?
Inlay is a rarefied art form, and there aren't many people doing it. We do buy some on occasion from one specialty supplier who's still in the business doing it, but for the most part we make our own inlays here. This is all custom work, and we are able to execute the kind of inlays that we like, and that they're really not available anywhere else.
That's pretty neat. Well, Jim, now that you've showed us how to make some of the inlay, what do we do next to finish these drawers?
Well, the veneers have been applied, and we want to smooth up the veneers initially. They'll be smoothed again after the inlay's in, but I definitely want to smooth up some of this veneer, and we'll do it using something called a cabinet scraper. This is an old-time period tool, but it's very effective, and it's just a flat blade of metal with very sharp edges, and I'll show you how it's done. You just simply place pressure on the tool and keep it moving, and it actually pulls a thin shaving of wood, smoothing the surface as you go.
You're not going to use sandpaper on this?
No need to do that with this tool.
Okay.
All right, the next step is to lay out the inlay pattern on this drawer front, and we simply use a marking device here, just a sliding square, and draw pencil lines all the way around so that we know where the inlay is going to go. And then we're going to use this specialty tool to actually cut the grooves. And this is a German tool, very traditional inlay cutting tool, and consists of some spur cutters to score a nice clean line where the inlay is going to go, and then a plow cutter that comes behind and actually makes a groove for the inlay strip to sit into. So I've got this set up right now to cut this particular groove right here, and it works like this. We hold it against the edge and pull it along like so, and it actually is scoring and cutting the groove at the same time. And this is done repeatedly until we have a groove of the right depth. Now, this particular design calls for what's called an ovalo corner, and that's a quarter round circle. As part of the pattern, that has to be cut by hand. So we use these little patterns here to give us a clean edge, and a craft knife to actually score it, and then a chisel, a very small fine chisel, to actually remove the wood in this area here. So that part of it is done using a handheld chisel. And the inlay strips are then placed in the groove, and they'll be glued in with the corners mitered accordingly all the way around.
And the part that fits in the curved part here, you can't bend this into there.
No, that can't be bent. That's a very specialized kind of inlay that has to be made as a separate assembly. And I can show you how to do that, how we go about doing that. But that's a rather tricky operation, and that calls for a real special process. This is some really beautiful figure on this drawer front, and you really can't get a sense of it unless it's wet. So what I'm doing here is taking some alcohol and wetting out the surface, and it just gives you a preview as to what the color and grain will really look like once there's a finish on it. So we like to do this sometimes to preview our own work, and plus it's just fun to see it. It looks so great. You know?
It is so beautiful, and you can hardly see that grain until it gets wet.
That's right, and you can see this great contrast you're going to get with this candy stripe inlay against this nice dark brown background. Mm-hmm. This was a very deliberate look. We wanted a nice bright inlay against a dark background that would really pop out, and the customer wanted us to have fun, and that's what we're doing.
This is really incredible. You can hardly see that grain until it gets wet, and the contrast with the candy stripe. But you said, it seems like you were working on a different inlay when I came into the office earlier.
Yeah, that was another inlay banding that we made up for what's called the apron. That's the bottom portion of the linen press. And that's right here. We made this up, and I think it turned out really well. Again, it's a very high contrast kind of inlay. It's made up of the pink ivory and boxwood and satinwood. And this was a rather tedious inlay to make. We had to do laminations, and then I actually had to bore a hole in the assembly for each one of these dots that you see here. So it was rather tedious and rather painstaking, but it turned out very well. I'll get it wet for you, and you can get an idea. Once again, that's a very lively inlay with a very nice contrast against that brown walnut background.
Jim McMartin, Jim Beggins, Tom and David, I want to thank you for having us in the shop here today. It's been fascinating and fun. I've learned a lot, and I really look forward to coming back next week to seeing what progress you've made on this wonderful linen press. So this has been terrific, and when we come back to see you again next week, what will you be working on then?
Well, we're going to continue our work with the linen press. We've got the cock beating details to do around the drawers, and we've got to build the doors for that piece, and also the crown molding detail, the curved crown molding at the top. So there's quite a bit left to do, but we'll be working on that, and then we'll be going on to some other projects too.
We have a handkerchief table to build, which is a very interesting piece, requires a totally different set of skills to build it, but also a lot of fun.
Well, we look forward to seeing that. I'm sorry we're out of time today, but we'll see you next week. And I hope all of you can join us here at Talbot Workshops.